What is it you are saying, Fitzwilliam? What is it you are talking of? What is it you are telling? Miss Bennet, let me hear what it is.
We're speaking of music, madam.
Music? Oh, then pray speak aloud. It is of all subjects my delight. I must have my share in the conversation if you are speaking of music. There are few people in England, I suppose, who have a more true enjoyment of music than myself, or a better natural taste. If I had ever learned, I should have been a great proficient. And so would Anne, if her health had allowed her to so apply. How does your sister Georgiana get on, Darcy?
She is wonderfully proficient, madam.
Pray tell her from me that she cannot expect to excel if she does not practice a great deal. I have told Miss Bennet several times that she will never play really well unless she practices more. She may come to Rosings
and play on the pianoforte in Mrs. Jenkinson's room. She would be in nobody's way in that part of the house.
What do you say,
Miss Bennet, why do you not play for us? It would be a pleasure to hear you.
Farewell to the woodlands, farewell to the boughs.
You mean to frighten me, Mr. Darcy, by coming in all this state to hear me. But I will not be alarmed, though your sister does play so well. There is a stubbornness about me that can never bear to be frightened at the will of others. My courage always rises at every attempt to intimidate me.
I shall not say that you're mistaken, because you could not really believe me to entertain any design of alarming you. And I've had the pleasure of your acquaintance long enough to know that you find great enjoyment in occasionally professing opinions which are in fact not your own.
Oh, your cousin will give you a very pretty notion of me and teach you not to believe a word I say. I am unlucky in meeting with a man so well able to expose my character in part of the world where I had hoped to pass myself off with some degree of credit.
That is ungenerous of him, is it not? Impolitic, too, for it provokes me to retaliate and say somewhat of his behavior in Hertfordshire which may shock his relations.
I'm not afraid of you.
What have you to accuse him of?
I should like to know how he behaves amongst strangers.
Prepare yourself for something very dreadful.
I first met Mr. Darcy at a ball, where he danced only 4 dances.
I'm sorry to pain you, but so it was. He danced only 4 dances, though gentlemen were scarce and more than one lady was in want of a partner.
I knew only my own party.
Oh, and nobody can be introduced in a ballroom.
What shall I play next, Colonel? My fingers await your orders.
Perhaps I should have sought introductions, but I'm ill-qualified to recommend myself to strangers.
Shall we ask him why? Why a man of sense and education who has lived in the world should be ill-qualified to recommend himself to strangers?
Well, he will not give himself the trouble, I suppose.
I have not that talent which some possess.
Of conversing easily with people I have never met before.
I cannot catch the love of conversation or appear interested in their concerns, as others seem to do.
My fingers are not so masterly on this instrument as many others.
But I have always supposed that to be my own fault, because I would not take the trouble of practicing.
You're perfectly right. You've employed your time much better. No one admitted to the privilege of hearing you could think anything wanting. We neither of us perform to strangers.
What are you talking of? What are you telling Miss Bennet? I must have my share in the conversation.
Miss Bennet may have a very fine notion of fingering, but her taste is not equal to Anne's.